Besides annoying and terrible beard and gaining weight, something a lot of people have called me is a Linux TTS. And you know what? It's kind of hard to disagree, so I might as well take the compliments when they come. One thing I've done quite a bit on this channel is covering repos, whether that be on GitHub or GitLab or Gitty or anything else out there, covering what is going on inside these projects. Sometimes it's a small issue on a project on something no one even cares exists. Sometimes it's a long span discussion over multiple years. Sometimes it's for a random little app. Sometimes it's for a big desktop project like a KDE, GNOME, Cosmic, Budgie, things like that. And sometimes it's for a project like Wayland. In fact, I have done quite a number of videos on Wayland protocols. And today, I just wanted to do a bit of inside baseball, explain why I like to cover these things, why I think they're interesting, and why I think you should be interested as well. Now, to any of the normal people watching, tune out for 30 seconds or a minute because you don't need to hear this, because you are a socially well-adjusted person. For everybody else, though, do not, this doesn't matter if it's a big repo or a small repo, do not go and bother them after I make a video. They don't care that you don't like something. They don't care that you have nothing to add. Don't go and bother them. This is not ha-ha funny, ha-ha joke. Do not bother the repo. If you do, I think you're a cockroach and I think you should be banned. Now, because some people have a lack of listening comprehension, I'm not saying if you want to be a developer, if you want to help out, if you want to improve a project, don't go and do that. If you want to do that, hey, that's awesome. I hope you improve the project. But if all you have to say is something dumb, don't do it. We are examining the developers. We are looking into the cave. We are watching what they're doing. We're not trying to disturb them. Now, I understand the majority of people here don't go and do this. You're normal, well-adjusted people. If you want to say something dumb, most of you, I know you're in the comment section. I see you. Or you're in my Discord. I see you. I'm well aware of what you are saying. Please, just keep that in places where it is not going to go and bother the people trying to do work. And I know that no kind of warning I give here is going to be good enough for some people, because for some people, they just do not want there to be any coverage of what they're doing unless it is glowing in positivity. But that's not reality. Sometimes bad things are happening, sometimes negative things need to be talked about, and I think it's worth talking about them. So then, why do I cover these things? Firstly, there are outlets like Phoronix which cover lots and lots of things, but it's generally a fairly surface level look. And for simple things like, hey, there was a bug which caused a printing thing to fail, or, oh, there was this very small discussion, it was like 5 comments long. For things like that, yeah, 1, 2, or 3 excerpts and quotes is usually going to be good enough. But for more complex things, like you see with something like ext zones, or frankly, most Wayland protocol discussions, there is a lot of context for what is happening. There is a reason why things take multiple years. Sometimes it's breaks, sometimes it's arguments, sometimes it's ideological disagreement, and sometimes it just took a long time because there was a lot of details to sort out. And having just a couple of little quotes, I don't think does it justice. I think for these really long discussions, to truly understand how something got into the state it's in, whether that's a good or a bad state, you really need to understand the full timeline of events that got you to that point. And this is the same thing I do with things like the LKML, the Linux kernel mailing list. I don't just go and take like 1 or 2 little emails. If you watch any of those videos, they tend to drag on for quite a bit, because usually there is a lot of differing voices in that space with very different sort of agreements and disagreements. And sometimes I do miss the mark. Totally understand that. I do make mistakes sometimes. I'm a normal person. Anyone who claims they don't make mistakes, immediately distrust them because, well, they're lying to you right now. So what else are they lying to you about? But I try to get a bird's eye view of each of these perspectives, and this is even the case when I disagree with them. I think especially when you disagree with someone, it's very important to understand what it is you are disagreeing with and not disagreeing with a phantom. I feel like this gives both me and any of the viewers a much more well-rounded perspective on what is happening than you'll see from a lot of other places. Now, of course, I am biased, right? I have my biases, and sometimes those are much more evident than others. Sometimes with a very long-running protocol discussion, especially one where I really think it should be merged, I let my biases out way more than I should. And that's something that I need to deal with. I understand that. But again, I try to stay objective. I try to stay on what is actually being said rather than fabricating ideas that someone didn't say at all. And I think it's important to remember that at least now, and maybe things change in the future depending on where AI and LLMs go, but right now, a project is a collective of people. It's a collective of ideas, and even if a project is moving in a general direction, each of these individuals have their own ideas about why they are going there, how to get there, whether that is the right direction or not, and I don't think a few short excerpts is enough to understand why a change was made, why a discussion was blocked, why a change is rejected entirely. I think it's important to know why this happened and how this happened. And even though there is quite a bit of surface level coverage, I feel like a lot of really interesting issues go entirely unseen because they're like linked upon linked upon linked upon linked, and they're somewhere down the chain, and it might not be immediately the most exciting thing, but when you understand like what's actually going on within the project, the psychology of the developers, the reason why they're making changes, at least to me, I think that is really interesting. And I think it's very important for people that are running a project, the people who are actually using the project, to understand the goings-on within a project that they use and may want to support, may want to contribute to, so they have a better understanding of what they're actually getting involved with. And Wayland is a prime example here. So a lot of people may know that a certain feature doesn't exist in Wayland, whether it's something which doesn't work or something that simply doesn't exist whatsoever, and may not even know if a discussion is going on about what that is, may not know if that discussion is in their desktop or in Wayland protocols, and may just assume, oh, because of this, Wayland bad, something something Red Hat, something something corporate takeover. Again, I have read my comment section. I see all of you people. There are posts like this one from KiCad, where I think the KiCad devs did their research and know what they need to have their application work well on Wayland. But that context isn't present within the article, so I've seen people referencing this post as if some of these things are never going to be addressed, are not even remotely being worked on, when the first one listed here, I know for a fact, is a very long-running protocol with a lot of support behind it. Window restoration is something basically everyone wants, but it's very complicated. And of course, there are infamous posts like this one, think twice before abandoning X11, Wayland breaks everything. This post is very, very misleading. The author knows it's misleading, but, you know, I guess doesn't want to change it. Because a lot of these things here, like Wayland breaks screen recording applications, this is something which is just not true, especially OBS. The reason why it's claimed to be broken is the author doesn't like any Red Hat tech, portals, Pipewire, things like that. So a lot of things are resolved through this tech and through other means, but it's not resolved in a way that the author of this wants, therefore it's still broken. But a lot of people come out of this believing, oh, OBS doesn't work or random other things don't work, and every single time, like, obviously not, I am using it right now. And frankly, I'm just generally interested in what is going on behind the curtains. You see all of these complete projects, or mostly complete projects, or projects you use on a daily basis that may just, be an alpha, but still fairly far along, and who wouldn't be curious how that project came to be? Why would you not be interested in seeing, oh, people actually made this? This wasn't just made by a developer machine. At least today, LLMs, AI, we'll see where that goes. And my thought process is pretty straightforward. If I am personally interested in something, usually that's not just like some weird hyperfixation that I have. Sometimes it is. I've seen those videos before. But usually there's going to be other people that are also interested in that same topic who, even if they don't really care about my opinion on it, they didn't know a certain thing was happening and are just curious to see what is going on in the FOSS world. So if I'm interested and a lot of you are interested, why not bring a light to what is going on in these projects? Because yes, a lot of things going on are just, regular day-to-day business. Happy things are going on. Maybe not happy, but just average, stable, normal things. Sometimes there are amazing things happening, and something gets merged that nobody thought was going to happen. Some random dev comes along after 10 years and is like, hey, this random feature people have been asking for? Yeah, I'm just going to implement it, even though everyone just forgot that it didn't have this feature. Of course, I want to celebrate that. But sometimes problems happen in repos. Sometimes things get delayed, sometimes things get blocked, and not everything is going to be happy days. Sometimes developers raise problems and basically get harassed by other developers, they get their work demeaned, and for some reason, they're not having their issues taken seriously. Sometimes things get blocked by contributors who, if anyone else was doing the same thing, that would be a serious problem, but for some reason, when certain individuals do it, it's just allowed to happen. And sometimes it's just quite a bit more boring than that. Sometimes a thread lays dormant for 6 months or a year, and, people still want the feature, but nobody right now is interested in working on it. They're focused on other things, they're doing more important things in their mind, and then someone shines a light on that, and all of a sudden people remember, hey, that is a thing that people wanted. Why don't I go and fix that? Why don't I go and get involved and actually help out the project? And frankly, unless I get bored, I am going to keep covering these things for as long as I feel like I can provide value. And if at some point people decide there's no value here and no one cares about the videos, I don't know, maybe I'll do something different. Who knows? We're not there yet. People, for some reason, keep watching the videos. And if I make a mistake on something, please criticize me. Tell me what I did wrong. And if there's something I missed which you feel like is important additional context, let me know. I want to have a discussion about the topics that we are talking about here. I feel like discourse is something like not just shouting at people, but proper open discourse where you listen to what the other party is saying and you actually engage with their points. I feel like this is something which sort of fell out of fashion for a really long time and has caused a lot of issues because of it, not just in the Linux space, but in all manner of spaces in life. And I want to have a place where we can foster honest discourse about these topics and let people have their opinions. And sometimes those opinions are going to be stupid. Okay? Some of you are not, reading comprehension is a little bit of a challenge, and there are people who do not have any idea what is even going on. They don't even know where they are right now. But I feel like most people are able to honestly engage with these topics if they're given a space to do so. And whilst you're down in the comment section, if you see someone you disagree with, have a discussion with them. Don't hate them, don't start a fight with them, but actually engage with the points they are saying, even if you, at a fundamental level, hate this person. Ask them, hey, why do you think that? Why not this approach? What is the issue with doing it this way instead? Actually engage with what they are saying, and you're going to realize you don't actually hate this person in many cases, there's just this sort of communication barrier, and you realize you actually have a lot of things in common, and in many ways, both want the same goals, you just have very different ways of getting there. Now, if someone is clearly just here to cause trouble, they're just spamming the N-word, yeah, I'm gonna get rid of you. Actually, YouTube bots are probably gonna get rid of you before I find you, but yes, I'm gonna get rid of you. But most people aren't like that. Most people are just not great at communicating their points and sort of trip up over that because the people they're talking to also trip up over their points as well, and having a conversation is very difficult. Not just having a conversation where you're talking through each other, but actually having a back and forth where you're addressing what people are saying. And I don't want to see a FOSS world where people who have differing opinions are just pushed away into spaces where no one is going to critique them, where all they do is just sort of focus on those points over and over and over and just bring themselves to a position where you can never change their mind on anything. I think having an open space is just a healthy thing, and I don't want to see a FOSS world where the only people who are speaking are those who just genuinely want to misinform people for whatever reason they might have, whether it be clout or money or whatever the reason. I at least strive to be the person who is honestly engaging with these topics and is trying to understand what everyone in this space is saying. And again, sometimes I miss the mark, and when I do, feel free to call me out. I want to know what I got wrong, where I missed the mark, and I want to discuss this with you. So I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing, and I hope you guys stick along for the ride. Now, there's one last thing I want to address. There is a certain individual claiming the FDO, the Free Desktop Code of Conduct Committee, reached out to me because of the things I said. I don't know if he is confused or is a liar, but this never happened. This is just not true at all. So, either way wouldn't surprise me, to be honest. Now, I'm not going to name you because I don't want to go and start a harassment campaign against you, but I don't know if we both agree about this. I know you watch these videos, though, and I know you know who you are, so I see you. I'm watching. So that was a bit of inside baseball, a bit of stuff going on behind the scenes, and I hope you guys are a bit more informed about why I talk about the things I do, and I hope you take what I've said to heart and actually have honest discourse with people. Even with people who do not like you, even with people who don't want to have honest discourse with you, try to do so. And I know it's hard, I make mistakes, we all make mistakes, but even though there is a lot of hate out there, try to discuss things with people, try to talk things out, and try to understand where they're coming from. But anyway, if you liked the video, go like the video, go subscribe as well. Normally we do videos actually on topics, not just on topics about topics, but here we are. If you really like the video and you want to become one of these amazing people over here, check out the Patreon subscribes daily bearer pay linked in the description down below. That's going to be it for me, and I've got a lot more videos to make. Something like this.